Kings, queens, and in-betweens, welcome back to the City Boys podcast. On this episode, we are going to be going over St. Louis City's 3-2 loss to the Chicago Fire, take you through the match, all the goals scored, give our points from the match, get into kit clash, and preview our next opponent, a very scary Vancouver Whitecaps FC. But before we get into that, my name is Ethan Thornton, the sweatiest, nastiest host of the City Boys right now. I just got done with some yard work, and I'm here with two of my best friends in the game, Grayson and Jacob. But one of them really looks like Andrew Gutman. How are you doing, Grayson?
What's up, guys? How are we feeling? I'm feeling good. I had a really decent weekend, although I saw St. Louis get their butts kicked. I did win a lot of poker while I watched the game, so that was pretty fun. I was at a bachelor party. Congratulations to my boy Alex. He's getting married, so that's pretty awesome. And in some other positive news I just got signed. I am a middle school soccer coach officially. So expect me to be on my Jose Mourinho shit. Gonna be teaching the next generation of American ballers. So just
Just full
wait.
park the bus.
We're doing 11 at the back, Olaf Melberg style.
No inverted center forward or 10 hog ball at Grayson's club.
No, we do inverted fullbacks over here. So it'll be a good time. I'm very excited for it. First practice on Thursday. Let's get ready.
Good
There's
luck,
nothing
fellas.
about the beautiful game when it comes to Grayson ball. It is just strictly defense.
A former goalkeeper, former goalkeeper, left back, center defensive mid. It's gonna be rough. But
Jacob?
Jacob, how you feeling, buddy?
I'm doing good. I had a pretty entertaining weekend this weekend as well. Um, Work week has started out hot, literally outside. Been
Can't beat it.
sweating buckets with this 90 plus degree weather. So honestly, I'm praying on the fall to come around. Premier League kicked off on Friday, technically
Friday.
kicked off on Friday. So watched damn near every single Premier League game this weekend, as well as St. Louis City. And I would have preferred to continue to just watch more Premier League Saturday night.
Hey, fair enough. Hey, and while we're here talking about Premier League, don't forget to join our Fantasy Premier League on the FPL app, the official Premier League app. You can join us on there. We'll have the join code down in the description. You missed week one if you haven't already joined, but you can still join throughout the entire season. So feel free to join and get in on the Premier League action. It's a lot of fun. So.
More than likely, you can catch up to me despite missing week one after my abysmal 36-point performance. Oh my God, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Hey,
Ethan's
no
currently
one? Yeah.
battling relegation right now.
City Boys FPL League 2 on the way.
Oh, well, gents, are we ready to get into this game that we were very hot on? You could say that we had a fire in our stomachs for this game, and it was quickly extinguished due to many reasons, including a delayed kickoff. But Grayson, will you
Extremely.
take us through the lineups for this match, please?
Of course, of course. And I did honestly at one point forget that the match was in Chicago. And I was like, it's not raining at all. Like what are we
LOL.
talking about? Anyways, this Critchley 11, we've got Roman Berkey holding it down in the goal. A familiar left back, we've got Devin Paddleford holding it down. Kessler regains the starting position as the left center back, filling in for Falou Fall. We got Timu Baumgartel on the right center back position and Yaziel Orozco at right back this week. We had our midfield duo of Chris Durkin returning to the 11 with Edu Leuven. We had a Thomas Ostrick playing in the 10 again this weekend. And up top, we had Zhao Klaus flanked by Marcel Hartl on the left and Songbin Jong on the right. We also had a bunch of subs come in. We did have Fa Lufal come in the 57th for Kessler. We had Conrad Vollum returning after his suspension. We got Alfredo Morales popping in. Celio Pompeu and Simon Betcher rounding out the substitutes here. Um, what did you guys think about the starting lineup for this week? Obviously, a little interesting in the defense. The big topic from last week was if we were going to continue to utilize Hartle on the left. And I think Critchley honestly proved me wrong on the offensive side this week. Hartle can still do a job on the left, and Ostrick needed to be at 10 this week because this was really his game. A great game from Thomas Ostrick. Really, some of the only positives I can take away from this.
Yeah, the defensive shakeup I probably could have called coming with Kessler getting off of injury, needing to get some minutes underneath his belt. I don't think it was he outperformed Follow Fall in training. It was definitely this is one of our veteran pieces, one of our veteran center backs in the league, and in we argued it last week as a must-win game. Go with a veteran piece for the first 45, 50-ish minutes and then bring Follow Fall in. Follow Fall still impressed me with his 30 minutes of play or 40 minutes of play. But I wasn't too upset with that substitution. Um, Edu, honestly, he didn't really have a great game in this game, in my opinion. I didn't think we saw the best out of Edu when we really needed to. I thought Klaus gave us an exact Klaus performance that you can count on every single time with high press. But yeah, I don't think this was a lineup fault, to be fair. What about you, Ethan?
Guys, when I think about this lineup, for me, there are no real memorable performances, and I think that kind of sums up this 11. Although I am always of the mindset that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I like to see that the front five stayed the same. Although I was a little bit unsure of how Kessler and Baumgartel might perform after Kessler's time away, but I thought the first half was overall solid despite the first goal that we conceded. I did like Falou Fall's cameo, even though he frankly didn't play the greatest. And I think that some of the third goal could be, or the second goal could be attributed to his defending. Still, though, I like Padelford. I'm really curious about the situation with Thomas Totland and why he is not playing. I know that Yaziel Orozco has been the hot hand, but I think that since he scored his goal, his form has dropped a little bit. And I'm interested into why Thomas Totland is not seeing any time at the right back position. That seemed like it was his spot to lose for the longest time. And apparently he has lost it after returning from injury. I just don't know the situation, and I'm really interested in why Thomas Totland is not playing. I think in this Vancouver game, I would like to see him in the starting 11.
Yeah, not to mention we saw Conrad Vollum coming in for Orozco in that second half in the 57th. So it's not even like Thomas is coming in as a substitute. He's literally just not getting minutes, period. So there's a couple questions that were around, playing time for a couple of our players, including another player that we'll get into later, as he has brought up some big news that would be Xande Silva. So we'll go ahead and talk about that after the game. I think that's a post-game conversation. But yeah, from this starting 11, I think for me a big note here was Chris Durkin. He still just really hasn't found his form, definitely back into the league yet. He's, been gone for a minute, but the performances we've seen from him so far I just have not impressed. And that really sucks because that pairing with Leuven is a very sore spot that needs to be looked at, especially in the offseason or in the last couple of days of this transfer market that is still open.
Well, yeah, Grayson, the reality is that Durkin is not playing his best soccer, and he is coming up on the end of his U22 contract initiative and would cost St. Louis City. I wish I knew the exact figure, but a lot more money than he currently does right now. So as he gets to that contract option, I'm sure that Lutz is taking a hard look at whether or not he is worth re-signing. And based on this season's performances, I'm not sure. Of course, Chris Durkin has that work rate, that engine, but if we have the potential to trade a young player with a lot of experience in the MLS for whether it be money for general allocation money for a player, cash, or a brand new player that can fill that role, I think that would be a very good business decision from Lutz.
Yeah, it's been tough this season to find that pairing in the center defensive mid roles or the center holding mid roles. When Edu was out, we didn't really have a great pairing there. Like Ostrak and Morales would play together, or it'd be Ostrak and Conrad Vollum, and we got a couple good performances out of those plug and play players, but really the answer to the question is who plays best next to Edu, and the easy answer should be Chris Durkin, but we just haven't seen a good performance from that pair since almost last season.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Even when we have seen them together, it seems like we don't perform very well as a team. So I think I really like what Durkin brings, but it seems like it just doesn't complement Leuven very well. So definitely an issue that is probably being addressed as we speak. So
You ready to get into the 90, gentlemen?
yes,
Yeah, let's
let's
get it
go
over
ahead.
with.
Yeah, let's rip this off quickly. This is a disappointing game for many reasons. I think especially that Grayson and I's points will touch on, and then Jacob will put a nice cherry on top of. But the scoring would get started early in the 16th minute. I pointed him out as a player to watch on the Chicago Fire. Andrew Gutman, Grayson's lookalike, gets up the wing after a good first time ball from there, holding mid. And on his first touch, Gutman plays in a very good curling cross. The ball is curling away from Roman Berkey right into the feet of Hugo Kuipers, the most fraudulent striker in the MLS. He taps it in very simply, a finish that anyone on your screen could have completed, and Chicago Fire take a 1-0 lead in the 16th minute. What I saw on this goal was decent enough defending from Orozco. For me, the center backs are really at fault here. Both of them are sprinting back toward the goal, not really in a position to stick a foot out or make a tackle, seeing as it would probably lead to an own goal. And Timo Baumgartel is just not close enough to Hugo Kuipers. I don't think he's that great, but if you're a professional striker, you're tapping that ball in. It was probably the easiest goal of Kuiper's season, and he's had a lot of easy ones this year. 1-0 to the Fire.
And for me, this goal, it just makes me so jealous because, like you said, anyone on this screen on City could finish that ball. But I'm not sure that not everyone on City can deliver that ball because we haven't seen a ball that good all season since Alm. I keep bringing up that
Yeah,
perfect
since Rasmus
pass.
Holm.
So Thomas Totland, I think, is capable of putting in a ball like that. Uh,
I agree.
Paddleford, maybe, but we'll see.
I
Gutman is a
do.
fantastic left back, but he's never
Edu
made those
could. It's just
positions. He could.
never. I don't know when he would ever find himself really in
Yeah.
positions to cross like that.
Yeah.
I was just picking up somebody who has a lethal pass in his bag, but
Fair enough.
yeah, this one was tough to watch because I mean, as we all know, when City gets scored on first, it's very rare that we win the game outright. So
One
starting
time this
off,
season.
yeah, well, I think we are 1-0-10 now.
That's painful.
That's insane. I can't believe that's the stat, but um, yeah, that sucked because I mean, you watch it, and then based on how high we are on the team last week, it's just like, damn, I don't know if the boys have the fight in them, but it looked like they did because shortly after halftime, Padelford finds himself deep, deep in the attacking third on the left side, whips in a cross that is targeted for arguably our second shortest player on the field, and Sang Bin, who's going up to win a header against two of Chicago Fire's tallest players in both their center backs. Their center back, I'm going to argue, didn't clear it but was able to hit it away from Sangbin and to the feet of Thomas Ostrak, who, in recovering the ball, is able to get a nutmeg off, which is class in itself. Gets the ball onto his left foot, composes himself, opens his hips, leans back just a little bit, and places the ball perfectly into the top left corner. I think this is Ostrak's first goal on the season. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, so I mean, personally, as a Ostrak lover, and probably Ethan said this in the pre-production, I think I ride the hardest for him on this podcast. This was nice to see him get his goal. It's long overdue. And it gave the team a good spark going forward after we scored, and especially after halftime. I mean, at this
It
point in
did.
time in Chicago, it's pushing what, 9:30?
It was pretty late. It's getting there.
So late match. You could argue late theatrics with the timing of this goal, but still damn near an entire half left to play.
Next goal here comes from Marcel Hartl. It would be a nice little play in Chicago's box here. Ball falls to Conrad Vollum, who touches it back to Thomas Ostrick, who plays in a sublime cross cutting through the box out of Chris Brady's reach, and it falls directly to Marcel. Takes a touch and just smashes it right above Chris Brady's head to make it 2-1. Another beautiful point blank, buried finish from Harthel. He really is lethal from point blank range. We just got to get him in those positions and get him the ball with nobody in front of him. He can put it there. I know that's a lot, but those are the conditions.
Just got to find Marcel Hartle in point blank range. No problem.
No problem.
I'm sure they can work on that in training.
uh, you got the Zinkernagel goal, Jacob? That's all
Oh,
good.
I can tell you a little bit about it. I know that Zinkernagel picks up the ball around in our attacking third, starts running at it our defenders, gets around Edu Levin pretty easily. This is a problem that we've seen from St. Louis City center midfielders all season. Zinkernagel then is in front of Falou Fall, stands him up with a pretty nice shoulder feint, gets around him on the left foot, and then sticks it into our near post, I believe. And yeah, it was a pretty disgusting goal, to be honest with you. Zinkernagel absolutely dominated this game as far as I'm concerned. And he looked like the kind of player that you hope to sign from the Belgian league, a quote unquote superior league. And yeah, I was really disappointed to see Falou Fall get on his heels on this goal. But I think it does speak to the attacking quality of Philip Zinkernagel.
I got a feel for Timo on this one because I don't know how many goals have gone directly through Timo's legs this
Oh,
season.
it's been quite a few.
It's been enough to notice. So he's been pretty decent at blocking a lot of shots, but wow, he's gotten very, very unlucky. It's just a heat-seeking missile right there, that 5-hole man. I don't know what's going on.
To give Falufal a little bit of defense here, when he does go to think about putting in that challenge when he's on his heels, if he throws that extra long leg out there, it's almost certainly gonna be a penalty. So I see why he pulls away. And in his head, he's got guys behind him that might be able to make that block. So I'm with you, Ethan, from the lineup talk about how this is partially Fallu Fall's fault. It's a lot of FAs. Partially his fault, but I'd credit like 20% of it to him.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not fully his responsibility or anything like that.
This is 100% Zinkernagel being class and making it look way too easy, which I don't know if that says more about Zinkernagel or if that just is our season.
So, like, my biggest thing about this is like, I ideally just want Leuven to pull down Zickernagel right there outside the box, but Leuven is already on a yellow at this point, so he
Yeah.
can't do that. Otherwise, he's getting a red and putting us even deeper into a hole for the future matches. So, um, it's just poor. Once again, just poor.
Poor.
Yeah.
And then there would be a little bit of hope here as the ref would point to the spot off of a Marcel Hartel header chance that he heads down into I don't remember who from Chicago. I think they're center back Tehran or Taryn. I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's right.
They're on.
But the ball hits his arm in the box, directly goes, ref goes straight to the spot and calls it, but then it goes to VAR and they decide to overturn it, stating that his arm is down by his side. So I guess that's fine. Uh, so the penalty does not get called, gets overturned, and my chances at an Ido Leuven PK got uh, destroyed. So that hurt. And then finally, deep in uh like the last 5 minutes
87th.
of the game,
87th minute.
80, 88th, 87 and some change. Zinkernagel once again carrying the ball right outside the 18, dribbling around, causing problems. He lays it off to Gutierrez, takes one setup touch and buries it before anyone can even step to him. This one is disappointing for me. Once again, I'm gonna put some hate on the midfield. There is just about, let me count it out. See,
7.
Leuven's watching. Vollum,
Morales.
Morales is watching. Vollum is actually the only one playing defense in this play. He's the one who chased Zinkernagel down. And uh, when he lays off the ball to Guti, he leaves the play, but he just did all the work trying to get Zinkernagel out of the box. So I'm not going to blame him, but no one else steps to the man who has the shot. It was just disgusting. Just I'll get more into my point, but for me, I got to put so many of these goals as avoidable by our midfield. First goal was across from a corner, but that only took place because they tore apart our midfield in two passes. Totally bypassed the midfield. Second goal, you know, nobody can stop Zinkernagel's dribbling. Third goal, nobody can stop Zinkernagel's dribbling. It's just tiring. It's tiring to watch how tired our players are.
Yeah, Guti takes the shot, and there are 7 City players in front of him. And it's honestly not like it's not hit with pace, it's not hit with power. It's I mean, he's aiming for the right side of the net. I don't think he's so quality that he's telling you he's aiming for the bottom right corner. So you'd think in numbers, again, like the second goal they scored, we should have somebody there to be able to block it, but everybody just lets the shot through, putting Berkey on an island, who, while he is a tall, big man, he's not that fucking tall. He's not going to be able to leap on an instant to cover that bottom corner. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's one thing when the ball goes through Baumgartel's legs and Roman still sees the ball coming through. It's another when 3 or 4 or even 5 St. Louis City players are standing in front of the goal, blocking Roman's view of the ball, and he sees it way late, so he's not able to get a good chance at a save at it. And for me, thinking about it as a player, right? You're standing on the top of the box. You know that you have 1, 2, or 3 teammates next to you or around you. You see that touch. If your first instinct is not to close that ball down, one of your teammates should be. And so it should really, realistically, in my mind, be a double team there. If you're not thinking about trying to block a shot there, he's taken a setup touch. It's probably 1 or 2 steps in front of yourself to set yourself up in a position to defend there. And that's what's so disheartening about this for me because it's so late on in the game. You would expect a player like Edu Lovin, a substitute like Alfredo Morales, to be able to make those 2 steps
Right
or
there.
put in the effort worthy of a block, something to keep that ball from getting all the way through or without being deflected out for a corner. That is what is so disappointing for me about this moment, because it ends up costing us points away from home, mind you, against a team that we consider to be a rival. And for me, it shows that the mentality is not there at the end of the game.
And that honestly leads me directly into my first point for this match day, which is why we cannot last 90 minutes. So just like I had mentioned earlier this year, St. Louis City gives us two different sides, and it honestly makes me feel crazy when I try to analyze this team because we all go back and forth. The fans, the players, the coaching, all of it. We had an incredibly impressive defensive performance last week, and now we're unable to lock down. There's no defensive desire, and we could see three this week. The best explanation I've heard comes from none other than Greg Berhalter himself after the match. He's awarding the thank you. I needed that. He's awarding the game ball to Gutierrez in the locker room, and he says, things weren't looking up, but then STL, or things weren't looking up when STL came out strong in that second half, scored two, but Chicago still believed that they could win it because before the match, Greg told them St. Louis City cannot last 90 minutes with us moving the ball. They just can't. And he was 100% right. I believe with our starting 11, we are competitive, somewhat competitive, with our starting 11. The best team we got, we can beat teams like Nashville 3-1. We can do that. But obviously, we can't do that consistently. Our starting 11 is decent, but once we start dipping into our reserves, or once our starting 11 starts to tire out, our quality dips and we lose games. We drop points almost every weekend because we simply do not have endurance from our starting lineup. And I honestly think that also shows that our depth just needs to be better quality. We can't be putting out an 11 that can only last 60 minutes and then we just fall off. And honestly, I have a lot of information here from Ethan he's going to be sharing with us that backs up that what Greg is saying. The stats really do show that St. Louis cannot last.
Well, Grayson, since you set me up so nicely, I got some numbers to read to the people listening and watching at home. And this is courtesy of Taylor Twellman on Twitter. Taylor lets us know that we have conceded 26 goals after the 60th minute this season, which is the most in the league I don't know by far, but it feels like by far. 17 of those 26 goals have been given up in the 75th minute or later, aka the last 15 minutes of the game, a point of contention that this podcast has been ranting about all season, probably since last year. And 13 of the 26 goals given up after the 60th minute are in the last 10 minutes in the game, which actually is not the worst in the league. San Jose got us beat on that front, but it goes to show, to Grayson's point, that St. Louis City have a finishing problem. And I think that a lot of people will tell you that 90 minutes is a long time to last, and they're right. But I think that St. Louis City needs at least a core, a spine of players that can go the entire game, that will give a strong performance, that in not only a strong performance, but a performance that inspires belief throughout the squad and throughout the team. It seems like the kind of leaders that used to have these performances are a person like Tim Parker. I think of Edu Lovin from season one, even Jared Stroud at times from season one. And we lately have been lacking a player like that this season. I think that our expectations were really high for Cedric Toykert and his ability to supplement our attack in a way that closes out games for St. Louis City. And so I think there's a few different ways you can look at this. You can blame our goal production this season, which has been subpar, or you can blame our mentality and fitness. I think it's a little bit of both. And either way, that those stats are incredibly disheartening to hear. So far, since Critchley's takeover, we've lost 11 points from winning positions, and 3 of those came most recently against the Chicago Fire. Right now, I think that's probably the biggest hurdle standing between Critchley and the full-time head coaching position is not only putting together consecutive wins, but demonstrating that this team has not a chip on their shoulder for the first half, not a chip on their shoulder after we get scored on or we score first, but for 90 minutes, no matter what the result is, St. Louis City is playing our brand of soccer with a chip on our shoulder.
I think it's crazy you mentioned Tim Parker there because this weekend he literally had 2 game-saving header clearances right there at the end for the Red Bulls as a player that inspires belief and has that drive and desire to win and close out games, which has been extremely lacking for us this season. My thoughts on the squad, though, Grayson, was, and this is probably the hardest job of every MLS manager out there with roster construction rules, is finding quality in your depth pieces because it's so hard to, one, just build a team in general in the MLS, and then also being able to find it as close to a non-drop off as possible from your bench pieces. And we genuinely haven't had that since year one. We've let go of a lot of players that gave us that quality coming off of the bench, and we haven't been able to replace them. And I'm on Team Lutz for the most part, but this is another one of those knocks to him as a GM of the franchise that he's not hitting the mark on.
As the person that put together the roster, right?
There was some comments after the game from Lutz, I think the next day. I think the biggest one that stuck with me was his quote that the team was scared to win games. And I wouldn't say that would be the mentality that's not how I'd put it. It'd be more like the team has no desire to win a game. But I wouldn't say scared to win games. I mean, we're in the driver's seat in the 60th minute. At that point, all we have to do is hang out. We got 30 minutes to power through. And really, all you have to do is just work your ass off for 30 minutes. That's all you need. And instead, we got stuck with jogging around, ball watching, expecting others to do the work that you need to do.
Also at 2-2, we were pressing hard to get a third goal. We had a
Yeah.
couple of chances later in the match to take a game winner, and then after we had gotten scored on and made it 3-2, and then I think we had what, 10 minutes of stoppage time or something crazy like that. We were pressing to get that game tying goal. So the whole scared to win bullshit, I disagree with. I don't think this team's scared to win. I don't think we have the quality to be good after 60 minutes, 65 minutes.
I want them to be scared of losing. I want people diving in front of they're out just outside the 18-yard box. That is the most dangerous spot you can be besides the six. Like there should be like six people fucking on your ass if you have the ball. And Guti and Zinkernagel had so much time to create whatever they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have players, we had cones at the end of the game there. It was people want to score. That's great. You also need to work your ass off in defense if you want to stay on this team.
True. And Grayson, you actually did remind me of a good moment from Falou Fall because we were talking earlier about the second goal that he conceded. I think right after he comes onto the field, he is pretty much stuck into what looked to be a pretty scary challenge to go into. He's right in front of the face of goal, and he just ends up sending it off of some body part out above the goal for a corner kick. And it looked scary. He celebrated like he had just scored a goal. And I did love that passion from Falou Fall. I hope that is the kind of performances that we see going forward because I completely agree, Grayson. I want to see defenders passionately celebrating blocks, challenges, everything that matters, all the little things that go into winning a game and not just on the score sheet, mentally dominating your opponent, I think is what St. Louis City has been lacking since year one. And it's for me up to Critchley to instill that dog mentality in them for the entirety of the match.
I'll never give Triple G props on anything, but he was correct in his statement that we can't hang for 90 minutes.
If I had to guess, some assistant gave him that game plan. There's no way he came
Mm.
up with that on his own.
He Google AI'd what to say to a team in post game after a victory.
I miss the days when St. Louis City used to be a team that did not fear not having possession. We're fine if you pass the ball as much as you want. We'll take it from you at some point and score, and then you're not scoring. But more and more we start to see it. LAFC, whenever we play against LAFC, their midfield tears us apart now because of the way they move the ball, how fast they can move the ball. We just can't keep up anymore. And that really, it just hurts to see that regression. But it is a new style that we're looking for, I guess. So it's just disappointing. Just disappointing.
Speaking of disappointing, that wraps my point. Jacob, do you want to finish it off for this week's points?
Yeah, I mean, overarching point is I'm disappointed. We aren't technically out of playoff contention mathematically, and the really only positive we could take away from this loss is the fact that it did come against an Eastern Conference opponent. So it's only -3 to the standings as opposed to what would be a pretty big 6 point swing negative for us. So looking forward to the next matches. There's still a route and a destiny in which we control, but the disappointment comes in the fact that prior to this match, I thought we could have taken it by the reins and controlled our own destiny. Now it's looking like I I think the boys are ready to get to Bali or the Virgin Islands. They're ready to get out of town and go enjoy their winter somewhere warm.
Yeah, I completely agree, Jacob. It's not mathematically impossible. It certainly feels like a tall task, though. St. Louis are in 13th at the time of this recording, sitting on 21 points. We still have more than current front runners for the Wooden Spoon in Los Angeles, as well as DC and Montreal. I also believe that we could overtake Atlanta in points at some point this season, but my goodness, does it hurt seeing St. Louis City at the second bottom team in the West? At least last season, we had the relief of being above Sporting Kansas City in the table, and they sit 3 points clear of us at the moment. So, yeah, I think Jacob, you sum up my feelings on the season as a whole so far coming up to the season. We had so much optimism and we had a lot of promises from ownership as well as Lutz and the president in Diego, and none of it has really come to fruition. I think City Park is still a great place to go. I still love to catch a game there, and I still love the team. We're still going to support regardless, but I think that is part of the support is being real about how this season has gone, and it has been very disappointing.
Yeah, we dropped a win in this game, and then in our breakdown last week, this was a game in which we saw as winnable, and at times in this match it was winnable. And I gave us must win 7 of our last 9. Now we have to must win 7 of our last 8. We can only really drop one more match, and I think about half of those are on the road, and we've only won once on the road.
Got some
So it's
very good
a
teams.
certified pipe dream. Don't get me wrong. It's a certified pipe dream.
Yeah. The
Oh man.
performance against Nashville, like Jacob said in the group chat, had me drinking the Kool-Aid. I was convinced that we were a different side, and then the other St. Louis City came back to perform this week.
How do you put bell to ass and potentially use that as a turning point in your season and then just fucking throw it all away after the 75th minute?
It's because you took your belt off and now your pants are around your ankles.
And no one's closing defenders out because they're waddling at the top of the box.
Hell of a metaphor, boys.
We don't have
Well,
cones on the team. We got penguins.
yeah, yeah. So before we move on from this match, we've got our next segment to talk about, and it's pretty rare that we get to talk about Chicago's kids. It is time for Kid Clash. Bing, bing, bing,
Bing,
bing,
bing,
bing.
bing.
So this week, we faced up against Chicago Fire's home red kits. They're a pretty classic silhouette for Chicago here. Not much has changed, but I think they're pretty clean. I think they're pretty clean. I do not mind the Chicago Fire's recent rebrand. I like their new logo. It's much cleaner. I like it. Adds in the Chicago flag colors. I think it brings it home. I think it's a nice kit overall. Um,
I'm
before
partial
I
to
give my
their
score, yeah, let's talk about it.
old badge personally, as someone who has owned Chicago Fire gear in the past. I am partial to it. So we're gonna defer on their rebrand. I liked how it looked a lot like a actual like firehouse badge and
It
something
really
you'd
did.
see on firefighters.
Yep.
Um, but other than that, this is pretty typical of what it's looked like for them as a kid so far over the last, what, I almost said 30 years of existence.
Yeah.
It's coming up. I don't think they're an OG, but I think they were the first expansion side in like 97.
Okay.
So yeah, almost 30 years. They're not quite an OG, but they're close. Yeah, for me, guys, this is a complete miss. If we want to talk about the Chicago Fire's rebrand, I also am on Jacob's side that this is not better than what they left from. I suppose it is actually better than their initial rebrand. Their weird logo that looked like a trident for a little bit, that was not it at all.
I forgot about that. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
huge miss. That was pre Apple TV days. I as
It
far
was
as this kid
pre TV deal days.
uh and yeah, like Jacob said, that navy and the firehouse badge that used to be the fire logo, it's not exactly a soccer crest. It's definitely an American sports symbol, but to me is still so cool. I also was thinking about it, and I'm not sure I like the Chicago Fire name at all. I don't think that I'm a fan of naming a team after a big disaster in the city.
I had
Uh,
this conversation this weekend at the bachelor party.
I'm not. I know it's like in a tribute to the city rebuilding and stuff, but it's
Can
not
you
a.
imagine if New York named any of their teams after a tragedy?
Bro, I was just thinking that.
Stop right there.
You
Hey, they
know what I'm
got two
saying?
different teams. They got two different teams.
I thought that, frankly, the New York Jets is close. That is
They're
borderline.
pushing
That
it.
is not. Yeah,
That's
it's not.
NYC TTs.
Anyways, this
that's funny.
kid for me, big miss. I'm gonna go on the
That what got him.
lower end of the rating. I'm gonna say a 5.2. It's not quite the nice candy apple that I know. Like Jacob has Chicago Fire kits that go incredibly hard, and this is
Not
not them.
anymore.
Well, in a past life, but yeah, they are not it for me, and I'm gonna go for a very very average 5.2.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
interested to hear from Chicago Fire fans of now how they feel about the rebrand, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what really matters. Our opinions on your rebrand are minuscule, I guess, as long as your fan base is happy with it. But if you're not, or if you are, let us know in the comments because I'm interested to hear. But for me, I prefer pre-rebrand. So I'm gonna give this one. How many goals were scored in this game? Five. I'm gonna give this one just a flat 5.0.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a 7.2. I still like this kit. I do
Generous.
like the rebrand. Um, from what from the Chicago fans that I've met that I've been talking to, I know they're definitely in a positive spot right now. They're right in that last playoff spot there. I know they're definitely loving the turnaround that the clubs had this year after losing their star DP, Shaqiri, who was one of the worst MLS signings of all time, has moved on, and they've replaced him with three at least really good signings in Zinkernagel, Bamba,
Yeah.
Kuipers a couple years ago, but they've really turned that club into a, you know what? I wouldn't say like a contender for a top, but a competitive team that can win games. They're a lot of fun to watch.
A sleeper
So
team,
for Chicago,
definitely.
I know they're in a happy spot. I'm not sure if the rebrand's what they're worried about at the moment, but um, you know, they're in a decent spot. So congrats, Chicago, whatever. Uh,
You beat a team that's
Chicago.
lost 14 times this year. Congratulations.
uh, moving on, we've got a preview for a very good side coming up next in the Vancouver Whitecaps, who actually got held to a draw this weekend thanks to a last minute goal. I want to say it was like in the 98th minute or so. Uh, it was pretty late. I don't even
Thomas
Against
remember.
Houston
Mueller.
as well. It's not.
Yeah, Houston is who they played against. So it was an interesting one.
No, they conceded a last minute goal.
Yes, Brian White scored very early, and they
Yes.
conceded a last minute goal to draw.
They also had a Thomas Mueller piss missile taken back because a
Yeah.
player was ruled offsides prior to him scoring an absolute worldie, which
Yeah.
is what you should expect after signing Thomas Mueller, to be fair.
It was a classy finish. Before we get into their newest DP, probably one of the most exciting signings in the league. I do have a few names that I want to talk about from the Vancouver Whitecaps, specifically one that is slightly difficult to pronounce. It's Renko Vasilinovic. He is their center back. He was, I believe, an all-star this year, and he is very good in the air. I am worried about him locking down Zhao Klaus on the attack. I also think, oh no, Ryan Gald's still hurt, but they still have a lot of good players. They have Jaden Nelson, Emmanuel Sabi that has been doing the business this year, Daniel Rios, and of course, like Jacob alluded to, Mr. Thomas Mueller.
Yeah, we were talking about this pre-recording. Who do you guys see in that this weekend?
I'm sorry? Oh,
Berkey
and
has
net,
never
yeah.
played in Vancouver, so Ethan, you brought up a good point about it before we went not live, but you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Berkey stays in St. Louis, doesn't make the trip. Like you said, Jacob, he's not made an appearance in Vancouver before. Although I would really love to see Roman Berkey versus Thomas Mueller one more time. It feels like a really good MLS matchup, and I don't know that we will get it. Although I wouldn't be too disappointed if Ben Lunt went out. I think that he showed early on when Roman was injured this season that he is worthwhile of runouts every now and then. And so if he does get to start, then it's a on paper downgrade, but I feel pretty confident still.
What are we thinking for predictions for this matchup?
I'm predicting not heavily rotated side, but it always feels like every time we go to Vancouver, we don't have our best 11 available to us, whether that be like they don't travel or they're injured or for whatever reason. It always feels like we've got three or four names out there that are typically on the bench to start games. And then going up against Vancouver, who has their full squad of players available to them. So I'm predicting a loss and not an attempt to big brain the soccer gods. I'm just flat out predicting a loss. It would not surprise me if we leave there with a scoreline of 3-1. And I'm just gonna keep back in Sangbin.
Word.
I like
Respect.
that goal scorer choice, Jacob. I am also not big braining the soccer gods here. I think that we are expecting a loss. I'm gonna say 3-2. I like a late comeback from St. Louis City featuring Joao Klaus before he subs off. And I do think that Thomas Mueller will probably bag one this week.
Okay, okay. Giving Thomas Mueller his debut goal against St. Louis City would hurt. But I'm going to give the score line of 2-1. I think Fallu Fall starts this next week, has a good match, but it's not going to be enough to win this game for us. 2-1 to Vancouver. And I think as for a goal scorer for St. Louis City, I am going to give it to I'm gonna give it to Joe Klaus. I'm gonna give it to Joe. Give it to that man, Klaus. Um, yeah. In other news, we did have a transfer that we want to talk about a little bit. We had Xande Silva transfer out to a club in Israel. I'm forgetting the name
I
of
think
the
it's
club.
I can't pronounce it right. I think it's Hapoel Tel Aviv.
I think you crushed it, actually.
I'm
Sounded
not sure. I'm not ready
sounds
to
right.
sit here and claim that I know ball like that. I know one other Israeli team. It's Maccabi El Haifa.
Maccabi Haifa. That's the only one I know too,
Oh,
because
darn
there
it.
was a American goalkeeper that played there some years ago, and
Yep.
he got some minutes in the Champions League because of that team. So
Random ball knowledge. A USL championship player transferred there. Wilson Harris went out to Israel from Lou City. If you guys are ever in
interesting.
trivia, need to know that for some reason.
Hmm.
Yeah, we get a lot of Lou City trivia up here.
Well, that player is Xande Silva, and he did move. Um, Honestly, I've been seeing a lot of positive talk about this transfer, and for me, there's there's nothing you can say to me that will say that this Xande Silva acquisition and transfer is positive. We literally bought a player. I don't care how much money we spent on him. I don't care how much money we got in for him. He did not play for us. He did not score a single goal for us when what we needed was a right wing. We bought the right wing and he did not play. So uh I can't be asked to, count this as a win for Lutz. You can't congrats, you solved the problem that you created. Like it's not
Yeah.
I'm not gonna pat you on the back for getting a couple $1,000. Like that's awesome. But are you good even?
Just a lot of lightning all of a sudden.
No. Okay, I was worried. But yeah, until the financial success reflects itself on the pitch, I will not be congratulating any transfer successes.
You know, Grayson, I think you reflect a lot of the fan sentiment around Lutz right now. Jacob looks like he's holding a sneeze. And I think that that bitterness is pretty fair. I would say that even though there have been decent transfer windows, probably not what St. Louis City fans are expecting or wanting. Although I am pretty happy to see Xande Silva open up a spot on St. Louis City. I think it became pretty clear that he was not really a part of Critchley's plans, so that I think this is a great opportunity for Makai Joyner. I think it opens up minutes for him. I think it opens up maybe more minutes for Celio Pompeu, depending on how we rotate people. And I think that all around, this is a win as far as the squad goes. But I share some of the sentiment, Grayson, that, yeah, this is getting kind of old after like Somir Pedro and Nicholas Deere. Like, this is
Yeah.
another third. You could even say in Jabo Bloom after year one, it's getting a little old.
Grayson, it really opened my eyes when you phrased it as congratulations on solving a problem that you created. Because I was of the opinion of this is a positive in the fact that like he's off our books for like a player that we're not utilizing. However, he maybe shouldn't have been on our books to begin with.
It sounded
So
like a good idea.
I
Like I
think you're
was
very
convinced.
fair. I think you're very fair in that sentiment. And then I share the same one with you, Ethan. When I first saw this, my thought process went straight to Mackay Joyner. And it also like solidifies, I think, Sang Bin's role for the future. I think we are sold on
Absolutely.
what we've got at the right wing position. He's given us great minutes so far, so I don't see why the club, would ever be like at this point, we're not sold on Sang Bin. Um, so I guess that's my positive takeaway is two younger players are going to get way more minutes yeah, in different grab bag. I'm really sorry that I'm not remembering the name of the channel slash TikTok that I saw, but they brought up a point about US soccer trying to be a mix of all of the foreign leagues and how the MLS is missing in the fact that it's not an Americanized sport. And they brought up a great point, and it had my mind thinking of like, what if the atmosphere around MLS matches was like college football? Granted, there's not the fan supporter base that college football does have. However, the music, one thing I did disagree with is they were like they wanted to see cheerleaders at the matches. I don't think cheerleaders need to be at the matches. I think cheerleaders are specific to football. But like loud music, entire stadium interactions. So I guess my question to you guys is, what things would you add to an MLS environment to make it more appealing to a casual or someone who is maybe deciding on whether or not to go to a baseball game versus a soccer game on the same night?
I mean, I wouldn't compare baseball because baseball games are some of the most
Well, yeah,
boring
okay,
sports
all
games.
right.
I love going to a baseball game,
We're
but
talking
you
about atmosphere, not what's taking
yeah, that's what
place
I'm
on the
saying. That's what
field.
I'm saying. Baseball games have some of the worst atmosphere. In my experience, there's no fans like chanting, singing songs. They'll be like, "Oh, oh." They'll do the Mexican wave every once in a while, but it doesn't have like that atmosphere that you're creating as a group. Um, to
Okay,
me,
choose another sport then. It doesn't have to be baseball. I just threw it out there.
Let me take it from here because I think your college football comparison was extremely accurate, Jacob. And I would actually argue that the MLS has done a really good job of Americanizing the game for more casual soccer fans in the United States. I would argue that going to a St. Louis City tailgate march and then being at a St. Louis City game feels just like a college football game with a different sport. There's a band playing during the game. There's chants for much of the game. People are standing for a long time. There's instant replay and reviews, and the ref communicates to the stadium as a whole. So for me, I think that honestly, in comparison to other soccer leagues across the world, that the MLS actually has Americanized the sport to a very palatable degree for maybe international viewers, but I do wish that we would target American fans more because I think they would be into an experience like MLS 360 that parallels NFL Red Zone. And in my opinion, this is as a result of Don Garber's time as an NFL marketing executive. I think that he pretty much got the playbook from the NFL and has been running with it in the MLS for 20 plus years at this point. So I would say that I agree that I wish the more casual American fans and viewers would find it probably due to it being behind a paywall, realistically, behind Apple TV, and you can't just find it scrolling through channels. But yeah, I would actually make a counter argument that the MLS is a very Americanized version of soccer compared to the international stage, and that it's almost rubbing off on things like the Club World Cup.
that's kind of what I was trying to get to is I think especially St. Louis City is a fantastic representation. So I haven't been to many MLS games like probably FC Dallas. We'll start there. We've harped on
I've been there.
the atmosphere at Toyota Stadium and like what I know there's a ton of construction going on, but like it's hard. Like there's a lot of cities that don't have as of a passionate, energetic fan base like St. Louis City has. Shout out to Atlanta. Their supporters group is incredible. LAFC's supporter group is incredible. I know there's a ton of fan groups. I can't mention all of you that are incredible. But yeah, I do think that the MLS does, in some of the bigger, more successful cities, have like a really fun atmosphere akin to college football. I think college football wins because you have so many young people already there, just
Yeah.
ready, passionate about their thing because they're already connected to it. You
Also
know,
piss drunk.
exactly. So I'd like to see college soccer get on the level of college football. I think that should be America's goal in how we can improve um, how Americans view soccer. Is if we can get college soccer, high school soccer on the level of how people enjoy high school football. High school football tailgates are crazy.
Insane.
So I think if we can get high school soccer, and in some places, high school soccer is insane. But for the most part, I think college soccer it's getting more views on television now. People are getting more eyes on college soccer. It's being reported on more. Like I'm seeing it on ESPN more. But for the most part, like a lot of people don't really know. Like, couldn't name the best team in college soccer right now in American college soccer. Probably couldn't name them. I can't. Couldn't
It's
tell you.
Marshall University, by the way.
Thank you. I didn't know that. I probably would have said like Wake Forest or something because who knows?
I don't know why I was thinking Yukon.
Oh,
I don't know. I feel like they might be good.
I don't know anything about UConn. I know Wake Forest is a
Bit of
pretty
cyber.
historic program. Virginia has a really iconic program. Indiana University is usually in the top 10. North Carolina. I don't know. Get your ball knowledge up, boys.
Yeah, I guess
Exactly.
I gotta extend our ball knowledge to college.
I think, yeah, bringing college ball up to the level of college football would be a good step.
If y'all want to get started watching a college soccer team, go check out St. Louis University, man. They got a great squad, a great stadium. Herman Stadium's awesome. Cristiano Ronaldo's played at Herman Stadium. So, not to mention, so have these three
That's
city
wild.
boys, I believe.
I've been there.
I've at least
I don't think
seen
I ever
games
played on the
there,
field.
but
Yeah, I don't think I've ever played there, but have
I did
The
definitely been
Slough
there.
Field over by IKEA.
Yeah, played
on
on
the
that a
on the
lot.
on the
I played
Dell.
there.
Yeah, dude, that is a legendary turf field.
It's a
Uh,
great field. If you're ever
I
looking for a good
think
pitch out in city.
I think I don't disagree with either of you. The one change I would want to see um, is more fan participation throughout the stadium as opposed to like just the supporter section. I
Hmm.
know it kind of spreads to the like outside corners, and I'm talking specifically St. Louis City. It spreads to outside the corners of the supporter section. But once you get to like the other side of the field, it kind of does give me that vibe of like sitting and watching a baseball game, waiting for something to happen,
Hmm.
as opposed to being a participant in the game. Now, I'm not asking for everybody in the stadium to stand up and chant and scream for 90 minutes because that's an unrealistic ask for, like, say you're taking your family to the park. That's just not going to happen for those seats. But just a little bit more participation when there's a chant that you know going on, maybe try to get your section involved, get the stadium even louder. Because, yeah, I mean, college football, the video game, it's been out for 2 years now. Uh, you get that fan interaction bar when it hits red. It's really hard to be an away team. So maybe we replicate that a little bit here in St. Louis. Make it be hard to be an away team.
Hey, I will say something that we talked about in the group chat that was a positive was the atmosphere that St. Louis City fans brought to Chicago because after we scored, you could hear St. Louis City chants ringing out throughout the stadium in enemy territory. You could hear it on TV. So that was a pretty special moment to know that, like, hey, although the results on the pitch might not be there, the team should know that we're there for them. We're gonna be here suffering right next to them. So Any final grab bags about this week's matchup?
I think that does it for me, gents.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I'm good.
Jacob,
run it.
let her rip.
So if you've been watching this far, we greatly appreciate you. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment. And if you've been listening on Spotify, make sure you follow and rate 5 stars. But most importantly, at the end of the day, do not forget to tell your mother you love her. Peace. STL. STL.
STL.
Uh,